a piece of raw wood silent, unshaped, waiting. The chainsaw hums to life, a machine born from modern industry, yet in my hands, it is no mere tool of efficiency. It is an extension of intention, an instrument that, paradoxically, bridges the divide between the mechanical and the handmade. As I guide it through the grain, the resistance of the wood speaks back a language carved through centuries of craft, whispered through every fiber. Every knot, every imperfection in the wood tells a story, shaped by time and nature. And now I become a part of that story, interpreting it through my hands, my tools, my choices. Yet, in that moment, I also become part of something larger, an unbroken lineage of makers who have shaped materials long before machines existed. The chainsaw, often dismissed as a crude tool of efficiency, carries its own artistry. Its teeth bite into the wood, not with the precision of a chisel, but with a raw energy that, when controlled, carves not just through material, but through perception itself. Is this truly craftsmanship? Or have we allowed ourselves to define skill too narrowly? The process begins with understanding. Not just the technical knowledge of angles and cuts, but an intuition that cannot be taught, only felt. A chainsaw is not a chisel, it is aggressive, demanding control. Each stroke must be deliberate, each movement balancing force and restraint. Too little, and the shape remains imprisoned within; too much, and the form is lost to haste. It is in this tension where craftsmanship lives, not in the tool, but in the choices of the hand that wields it. There is rhythm in the work. The bite of the blade, the scent of fresh cut wood, the steady pulse of motion. The material dictates the process as much as the maker does. Hardwoods demand patience, resisting the saw's advance. Softer grains yield more easily, but require a careful touch to avoid overcorrection. Each piece is different, each movement a negotiation between control and surrender. But even as I carve, I am aware of something deeper, an echo of past hands guiding me. The traditional woodworker may scoff at the chainsaw's brutality, yet is it truly different from the evolution of chisels, saws, and edges? Is mastery not the ability to use any tool, old or new, with skill, respect, and understanding? In this moment, I do not simply use the chainsaw, I shape with it. It is an extension of my intent, my knowledge, my willingness to listen to the wood rather than force it into submission. In an age of precision machining and mass production, the question arises, does the handmade still hold value? We are surrounded by objects perfect from automation, identical, efficient, flawless in their sameness. But perfection is not the language of craft. The handmade carries within it the imperfection of humanity, the subtle irregularities that whisper of the maker's presence. This is what separates craft from mere production. It is not just about shaping a material, but leaving a trace of the soul upon it. And technology, for all its progress, cannot replicate this. It refines, it optimizes, but it does not create with feeling. And yet, technology is not the enemy of craft. It is a tool, one that, when placed in the hands of a craftsman, becomes a means of expression rather than replication. The chainsaw, a symbol of mechanization, inverts its meaning when guided by intention. It does not replace tradition, it evolves it. We stand at the crossroads of history and progress. The ancient techniques, passed down through generations, meet the new methods born from modern innovation. We must ask ourselves, do we let tradition fade, or do we adapt it, breathing new life into old ways? True craftsmanship does not resist change, it embraces it, shaping it into something meaningful, something lasting. But there is also a danger, the risk that as we pursue efficiency, we lose sight of the deeper connection between maker and material. The traditional woodworker knows the feel of the grain, the subtle differences between species of wood, the way moisture and time transform a piece. Machines do not feel. They calculate. In a world where the handmade is often overshadowed by the hyper-precise, where mass production defines the objects around us, the craftsman stands as a quiet defiance, a reminder that not everything should be optimized, not everything should be perfect. The imperfection of the hand is, perhaps, its greatest strength. In a society increasingly defined by mass production and digital convenience, the role of human craftsmanship is often seen as nostalgic and unnecessary indulgence in a world where efficiency reigns. But this assumption overlooks something fundamental. The objects we make are more than just their function. They carry meaning, memory, and identity in ways that mass-produced items cannot replicate. Consider the difference between a factory-made chair and one shaped by hand. The former is designed to be identical to thousands of others, its perfection measured by its uniformity. The latter, however, is unique not just in its grain or its shape but in the small imperfections left by the maker. A slight unevenness in the curve of a leg, the faint trace of a chisel's path. These are not flaws, but signatures. They tell a story, reminding us that this object was shaped by a person, not a machine. This human touch extends beyond just material goods. In Japan, the concept of wabi-sabi, the beauty of imperfection, celebrates the marks of time and the traces of human effort. A handmade tea bowl, irregular and asymmetrical, holds more value than a flawless porcelain one because it embodies the spirit of its maker. In contrast, a factory's output, no matter how precise, lacks this silent dialogue between creator and object. Even in fields outside traditional craftsmanship, we see this tension between the human and the mechanical. In music, for example, digital perfection has become the norm. Auto-tune corrects every vocal flaw, quantization ensures every beat is exact. And yet, some of the most beloved recordings in history are filled with minor imperfections: a singer's breath slightly out of place, a guitarist's fingers sliding on the fretboard. These elements make the music feel alive. The same principle applies to craftsmanship. When we erase the human element, we erase the soul of the object. The rise of automation and AI challenges us to reconsider what it means to create. Machines can now carve wood, compose music, and even generate paintings, but does this mean they are craftsmen, musicians, or artists? The answer lies in intent. A machine executes, but it does not choose. It does not struggle with the resistance of wood, adjust its grip to accommodate a knot, or step back to admire its own imperfect work. It does not experience frustration, inspiration, or satisfaction. These are uniquely human qualities, and they are what imbue craft with its significance. Perhaps this is why, even in an age of unprecedented technological advancement, we find ourselves drawn to the handmade. We seek out artisanal goods, custom-made furniture, and traditional craftsmanship, not because they are necessary, but because they reconnect us to something. We risk losing a tangible link to the hands and minds that shaped them. In an era where so much of our world is virtual, the act of making, of shaping something real, serves as an anchor to our own humanity. If we are to preserve this connection, we must resist the notion that efficiency is the highest virtue. The craftsman's work is slow, deliberate, and sometimes inefficient by modern standards. But in that slowness, there is meaning. The time invested in shaping a piece of wood is time spent engaging with the world, understanding its textures, its limitations, and its possibilities. It is time spent proving that human touch still matters, that in the act of creating, we affirm our place in a world increasingly dominated by the machine. Each piece I make will outlive me. The lines of the soul, the marks of the hand, the decisions made in a moment, all preserved in the finished work. Someone, years from now, may run their hands along its surface and wonder about the maker, about the process, about the time when this piece was raw and waiting. And in that moment, craft transcends time. It becomes more than an object, it becomes a legacy, and perhaps, in that act, we find a bridge not just between tradition and modernity, but between ourselves and the world we built, one cut at a time. Yet, even as I finish one piece, another waits. The cycle continues, wood to hand, hand to tool, tool to form. What I leave behind is not just furniture, not just carved wood, but a way of thinking, a testament to the fact that in a world dominated by speed, by digital creation, by instant production, there is still value in slowness, in struggle, in listening to the materials we shape, and in shaping them, perhaps we shape ourselves. In the end, what we create is more than wooden form, it is a conversation between past and future. Every piece carries with it the echoes of techniques honed over generations, yet it exists in a world that rushes ever forward. To work with our hands in an age of machines is not an act of defiance, but of remembrance. A reminder that amidst all that is fleeting, there remains something deeply human in shaping the tangible, in listening to the grain, in leaving behind not just an object, but a story carved into a game. Please leave your thoughts while viewing the art.